Welcome to Revolution Against Evolution. I'm your host, Doug Sharp.
Your co-host, Rich Gear, here as well, and we've got an exciting guest here today, don't we, Doug?
Well, we have Dr. Raymond Damadian, who is the inventor of the MRI. He is the subject of this book by Jeff Kinley called A Gifted Mind.
Excellent.
And what we're going to be talking today a little bit about is his personal testimony of why he's a young Earth creationist and what his whole intention is for being a young Earth creationist, and what led him to that conclusion, despite some of the different things that he has endured as a result.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Damadian, thank you for being our guest on the Revolution Against Evolution.
Dr. Damadian, I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you became a young Earth creationist, because that's kind of our show a little bit. I love talking about all about the MRI stuff, but I'm really interested too about your journey as a creation person, because I know you've really been you've taken some hits because of it, and I know that it's not always been smooth sailing because of it. So I just want to hear some of your thoughts on the creation movement or creationism itself, and what you find maybe your place in it is.
Well, when I started looking into the whole business of how we evolved from a slime mold. Each one of us came from a slime mold. You have to understand that. As you go from a slime mold and steadily have this set of accidents, so you evolve from an ape with 400 cc's of brain, and you become a human being with 1,200 cc's of brain. You have to be able to show some evidence that you came from a 400 cc brain chimpanzee. And the only proof of that is you have to be able to show some intermediate life forms that show the transition, and they don't exist. If you go all the way back to the slime mold, the intermediate life forms, that what is called the transitional links, they don't exist. There's no evidence for evolution. It's science fiction.
Yeah, I find that in many of the biggest, the most, I'd say, proven tenets of science, evolution seems to be diametrically opposite of it. For another instance, to really evolution to even occur, you have to have something non-living to turn into something living, okay? And self-replicating, and everything, or something non-living. Life always comes from life. That's the law of abiogenesis. Life never comes from non-life.
Most is it's devastating our country. It's having impact on our national philosophy. It's a disaster.
Yes, we've seen that with a lot of stuff that's going on there. For years and years, the progression of violence and antipathy towards Christianity, especially, but to things, because we've been taught for 150 years in this country that basically we evolved from non-life, and it was incrementally stepped upward, and the hand of God was not involved in it. Some ministers made the mistake of trying to co-opt it and say, well, God did it or started it or caused it to happen. But it's so many of the premises of evolution seem to be opposite of science. The idea that, the increase in genetic information at every step of the way. You mentioned there seems to be breaks between. There's no transitions.
I call it science fiction. I call evolution science fiction. There's no evidence for it.
Yet, how has it got to be the ascendant philosophy? Is it just because of the hardest of humans, or what?
That's an interesting question, and I think I've pondered that many times. How did it ever get accepted? And I think the only thing I can conclude is that the scientific academic world at that time was doing the basic practice of science is to do experiments and see results. It's a materialistic technology. So when from that perspective, where it avoids the power and the significance of a supreme being. So you no longer have to comply with the laws of the supreme being. Now you can do anything you want, and you can indulge any lust you want. because you just been liberated by evolution, that with the recognition that you are simply an accident with 1,200 cc's of brain instead of 400 cc's of brain of the ape.
Yeah, what happened to the 600 and 800 cc? What happened to the 600 and the 800 cc brains? Yeah, where are they? You know.
That's exactly my point. Where are the intermediates between the 400 cc brain of the ape and there should be humanoids? We ought to be running into humanoids that have 800 cc's of brain. They don't exist.
I thought
and of course, over the years, when they recognized that they didn't have these intermediates, they called them missing links. But it's 159 years, and those missing links never showed up.
that's right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's sort of the dirty little secret. It's like they'll take things you can do in cinema where you can transition from something to something else. I said that doesn't work in life. Life does not work that way at all. You can't make something turn into something else by some magical process. In fact, there seems to be these.
It distresses me greatly because it's wrecking our society, our Christian culture.
So, in this case, it's not a missing link between the destruction of society and evolution. The link is there, and it is very clear with the materialistic philosophy. Yeah, you're right. It liberates you for the short term. You can do whatever you want. You can appeal to any lust, any kind of greed, any kind of thing you want. You don't have to submit to a rule maker. But in one sense, it's like Esau selling his birthright for a bowl of pottage. You know, you basically you're all going to die, and what have you gained? You know, I mean, in 100 years, who cares that you were able to do whatever you want to do now? And they basically sold out eternal consequences for short-term gains. That's what that to me, and it's really not a gain for the most part. You know, usually people who end up living this way end up destroying themselves even in this life. They don't really gain anything now in the next life, but even in this life they don't really gain a lot. Sometimes they do, but so often it's not the case. But I think you're right. The rebellious nature of who we are really seems to have come to the fore, and evolution allowed that to blossom in full form. You know, the rebelliousness nature of us. Before evolution
is evolution that has no scientific evidence.
Right, but it was the only thing they had to get off God. It was the only thing to get rid. They used to get rid of God. That's what happened. Which distresses me more, Dr. Damadian, is the fact that ministers subscribe to evolutionary thinking. You feel like, what is that all about? You know, you can understand materialistic scientists, but when ministers do the same thing, you feel like, wow, they're supposed to be on my side, and they've kind of turned traitor on me. You know what I'm saying? They remind me of Quisling during World War II. You know, sold out the Norwegians, man. Supposed to be a high-ranking Norwegian, and he sells them out. Well, that's what the ministers do
Remember, you have to be kind and thank our ancestor, the slime mold, for his ancestry.
Well, that's the problem.
I saw a PBS special just a couple of days ago about the slime mold and all the intelligence that's built in it. They were training slime molds to do certain things like salt, and so they were separating different populations of slime mold and watching them do certain things based upon their intelligence. And so the question is, well, how can they were claiming...
The critical question is, Mr. Slime Mold, how did you accidentally turn into a human being?
That's right.
Well, how did you go from a rock to a slime mold even? That's what I'm getting at. You know, I go to the very beginning. How did something that was non-living become living? You know? But that's what they have to have, you know? So... I'm not. You came to a saving faith or an awakening through Billy Graham, but Billy Graham is not known really to be. He didn't really talk a lot about evolution or non-evolution, did he? I don't remember him talking much about that. But you I guess you have a scientific mind, so I know you do. So you pursued it on your own level and your own your own. I mean, I guess how did you come to the knowledge of the creation was the right way to go? You just common sense or what? You just looked at it and said the evidence isn't there?
Well, I think the only answer I can give you is that
but so many scientists are evolutionists, and you've kind of bucked that trend. There's a lot of scientists who are not evolutionists, but they don't want to. People don't want to reveal that. I think there's a lot of, well, I would call them polemicists, the people who are attack dogs for evolution, Eugenie Scott and people like that, and Richard Dawkins, people like that. And I remember seeing one time, you'll get a kick out of this. I saw
the problem is the fundamental disease is academia. And so anybody knows that he's going to discredit himself with academia right away if he doesn't swallow completely evolution, even though there's all kinds of missing evidence. But I think we got to be grateful now. There's a very active movement producing evidence every day on the creation science side of this argument. It's no longer an absolute automatic.
Yeah, I was just getting to the point at the very beginning how Darwinian thinking got to be in the ascendant philosophy, but that's, it just seemed like that was the nature of humans. They were ready to get rid of the bondage they felt of God and the rule maker over them. But
it's not bondage.
And it's not bondage. That's actually the true liberation. But I was going to share a story. I saw Richard Dawkins at at the University of here at Michigan State a few years back, and a bunch of young men were coming with me, and they were kind of nervous about it because they were creation guys. And Richard Dawkins is like the preeminent evolutionary scientist. I just call him a polemicist for evolution. But he spent an hour and a half telling why an airplane wing was designed and a bird wing was not. And yet a bird wing is so infinitely more complicated. The people left that place amazed that they could be so blinded.
My answer to the Dawkins of the world is Lancelot Gobbo. Lancelot Gobbo is the star in Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice.
Okay.
And he's having an argument with his father, and in his final answer to his father in this argument on substance was, well, Dad, but in the end, the truth will out. And that's been my experience. When our technology, when I was developing the MRI, they called it visionary nonsense, science fiction, but it prevailed. The truth of our findings prevailed and gave us the MRI.
It's great. I think it's wonderful because I feel like you were.
My hero is Lancelot Gobbo. The truth will out.
The truth will out.
Lancelot Gobbo.
Lancelot Gobbo. I got to remember that. I don't remember that name for some reason. It's been a while since I read that play.
Read this book. You'll remember. You'll get the name. It talks about that.
Oh,
is it too late for? Is it too late though? I believe. I agree. The truth will out, but is there time?
Okay. Now you're asking a critical question. If we accept the fact that the truth will out, then the critical question is when? How long is it going to take? But the first thing you have to do is recognize what the truth is. That's step one.
But the doors to the public school are barred. They're barred against truth.
But the unhappy thing about all this is our academic world, our university world, is busy programming all of our children.
Yes.
And making them feel as if they're mentally deficient if they don't accept the evolutionary model.
Well, I think of evolution as really a materialistic cult. And it's interesting, Doug and I have talked about this, the Scopes monkey trial way back in the 1926, when Clarence Darrow was trying to defend evolution. It was a trumped up kind of a thing. But he makes a statement to the effect that it's the highest form of bigotry to teach only one view of origins. But now that they're the only view being taught, they don't think of it as bigotry. Isn't that something?
The painful aspect of this is that the ultimate victim of this is the United States of America. once if the culture falls apart, and I'm grateful it's now being restored by the creation movement, but it's a potential calamity for the survival of our nation.
Absolutely.
I wanted to show you, this is my new book, well, this is my old book updated, The Revolution Against Evolution. I first published this in 1986.
It's wonderful of you. You know, I mean, I'm so grateful you're doing this. And I think the thing to realize that it was the devout Christian founders of our nation that gave us this thing, which I call the miracle of America. America is such an astounding phenomenon. It's not adequately recognized what an astonishing miracle the whole structure and history of America is. The phenomenon was the ingestion of democracy. And when you pay attention, what is the overwhelming aspect of democracy that is responsible for the miracle of America? And the remarkable aspect of it is it puts the truth in charge.
Yeah, and I like the way it says.
And the truth is invincible.
In one of the original statements, it's interesting. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident."
The standard political format is a ruler who was naturally, in the course of his existence, very continuously in conflict with the truth, and then just exercises power. So the truth didn't have power like the founders of America gave to America when they gave us the democracy they did, and put the truth in power and gave us unlimited prosperity as a result.
Yeah, I was starting to say, in one of the original founding documents, the Declaration says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident. We are endowed by our Creator. We're certain unalienable rights." And I think that predicates everything. That the rights are not given by the state; they're given by God. Okay, and that these are self-evident and they are truth. Okay. Now, Dr. Damadian, you appreciate America.
The key is you got to recognize that as the truth.
Right. And
that's where the trouble is.
But,
and you got the enemy selling against it all the time.
Right, but we also have the Holy Spirit trying to reveal the truth to us. He reveals the truth if we let it. But so Dr. Ray, I love the way you talk about America, because you were not born here, right?
Yeah, I was born here, sure.
You were born here? Okay. I thought you came over here from Armenia. Or no, it was your parents.
1936, I was born on Long Island.
That's what it was, yes. Yeah.
You know, you said something in your book. Let me quote something you said that you wrote in your book. You said, "Like the blood that slowly drains from a dying soldier on the battlefield, this truth is systematically seeping from this great country, and she is growing steadily weaker because of it. Unless we do something, we could lose the battle." Now, you said that 5 years ago. What are your feelings now?
Well, I'm grateful that we're seeing this phenomenon of creation science that is growing. I mean, it's not being stumped out, and creation science just defeats all of this if we get that truth established. That's what will be victorious. So that God's at the root of all of our existence is the critical recognition, and the whole materialism philosophy has no foundation, has no scientific evidence to support it.
So I'm glad that you are in the forefront of this whole battle, and that you are one of our shining stars. We actually have many of our founding fathers of science who established various aspects of the scientific method, in the beginning who were believers.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were, I think we should be recognized.
All this is you have to survive the status quo. And I gave them a name. I call them the GSQs, the guardians of the status quo. So the current status quo is the evolutionists, and we have to overcome that lie.
Yeah, that's going to be it's a major project, but it is doable if, and I think with the Creation Museum and the various organizations that we have in creation science, we have, from what I understand, as many as 36 creation museums in the United States and in Canada. And that is a growing thing. We never had that. We have many creation organizations now, and I've been trying to contact all of them. And
the truth is coming out.
Do any of Trump's advisors, spiritual advisors, are any of them creationists?
I think Pence is.
I mean, if we could, let's go right to the top.
Yeah, I think Pence is.
You know,
Is a creation guy. He got in a lot of trouble for saying some stuff like that. I could be wrong.
that's true.
That.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I think he is. Yep. He took some heat for that. I think some of the statements he made. I'm not absolutely sure of that, but I'm pretty sure that he is.
Yeah, I think he is.
Oh, well, I'm only speculating, but the person I would think to be most likely would be Mike Pence.
That's what I said.
I mean, I think he's a Christian through and through, and I think he's having a big impact on Trump.
Well, I'm sure that he's got a lot of other things on his mind.
My great exhilaration, I hear Trump repeatedly saying that we're in the country that God gave us. I've heard him say that repeatedly.
Well, when we went to that one meeting, he had his mother's Bible with him, and I found out that Bible, her mother was involved in the Hebrew Bible.
We got to be grateful that somebody who knows and understands the Lord is in charge.
So,
and we need to pray that this will continue to be the case.
yes.
We have a real responsibility come November that our voting is going to bring about another revolution in this country, a revolution against evolution, hopefully.
Well, you said it right. It's like it's very difficult. The only way to maintain it is through the Holy Spirit in some sense, because we run out of energy. Maybe not you, Dr. Damadian. You seem to be.
What we all got to do is pray repeatedly and constantly for a landslide victory in November.
I agree with that. I don't think we can afford to. I hate to say it, but it's almost like the other side, the left side is almost all Darwinian thinking. It's postmodern, and even in that they've gone so far beyond anything rational and I think that their hatred for Pence or for Trump Pence is because I think it's almost diabolical, demonic almost. I've never seen a rage like this, even if you disagree with somebody, and you can do that over issues. I've never seen a rage like this, and I go, that tells me something, and I'm praying that the truth will out, that the truth will come out, and that good things will happen, But the Christians have to understand that it's a continual fight and continual war. As long as the Lord tarries, we're going to have our fight set before us. I see that, and evolution is on the forefront of that fight.
I got to say it again, but my conviction is that the truth will out, and the truth will win in November.
That's an optimistic note. I like that.
Yes.
We got to get you a scanner, and once we have a scanner there that can do the upright, fully weight loaded, we'll get another Dr. Rosa.
That's what we need.
I'm sure that Dr. Rosa can help us find somebody that we can put with the scanner to achieve all these needs.
Yeah. So how do we get one over here?
That's a
That's
good-
that's our problem. We're not really connected to the medical establishment at all. You know, we have maybe Gilead Healing Center, but
All you got to do is get investors and talk to us, and it's easy to show the financial success of these scanning centers, and the investors will be eager to participate. Our scanners, our average scanner is doing 15 to 18 scans a day.
I don't even know I wouldn't even know who to talk to though. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out who to even talk to.
Yeah.
Juan Gee?
Yeah, we do have a chiropractor here who operates Gilead Healing Center, associated with our
I don't
church.
think we're going to have any problem finding somebody that can do the Atlas orthogonal treatment once you have a scanner that can see it.
Right.
Yeah, that might be something we could try to do with Dr. Jean-Guy Dagnon.
Doug, that's what we have to do. We have to work together to see how we can get a scanner to you guys.
Yeah. What's the cost of getting one of those things over here? I mean, what is it usually? Do we know what to
The cost?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
The retail price is about $1.5 million
Okay.
for the total completion, and then but remember that the reimbursement for the billing is $600 a scan, so it produces a lot of revenue.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, to get the people that are connected with the money guys to do that. Or
Anyway, if you have any people who are interested, I can go over the details of the economics with them. It's an easy sell.
Okay. Yeah, that would be, yeah, maybe that'd be I might have to talk to him, see what he thinks.
Yeah, let's set up an appointment and see what Dr. John Gee or
When you talk to your investors, you'll be bringing this critical technology to the benefit of your people in Midland, in Michigan.
Yeah. That's what we need out here in the middle, because we have all the hospitals, they have MRIs, but no, they do not have an upright MRI, number one, and nobody I know has an axial orthogonal adjuster.
You have to recognize who's encouraging them to get the lie down scanners that they have. And their encouragers are General Electric, Siemens, Philips, and Hitachi.
Right, you know that.
And they have some powerful tools of encouragement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I like to think earlier.
By the way, are MRIs being used at all in the diagnosis or treatment of COVID?
What we have found on COVID patients is a malalignment of the craniocervical junction.
Really? That's something I haven't heard.
We hope you enjoyed our show with Dr. Damadian, and we'll see you next time on Revolution Against Evolution.